Tim Linder here. Let's crop this image in a couple different interesting ways, right? So I've got this image here that I want to crop. Well, one way that I might crop it is that maybe I just want to adjust the size of this thing and maybe straighten it out a little bit. I think well, let's say that I want 8.5 by 11, 300 pixels per inch. So let's say that I want 8 inches IN by 11 inches IN, okay? And then I want 300 pixels per inch, okay? So I've got this. And let's say, oh, I want 11 by 8 instead of 8.5 by 11. So I've got this image here. I want 8.5 by 11, and then I want to straighten it out a little bit. So maybe I'll move off the side a little bit. By the way, in order to get that, I was at width, height, and resolution. That way I can enter in my exact values that I want up here. And so if I move my cursor out just a little bit, and I kind of straighten out, I can rotate this a little bit and maybe get my horizon line just right so that I'm kind of looking at the water in the ocean there as it goes across, and that looks pretty good. And maybe I also I've got content aware crop, so it would actually fill in this missing area with sky probably pretty good and this ground pretty good. I could do that, or I could crop in just a little bit tighter so that I don't have to have Photoshop make anything up down here, right? I'm just cropping that in a little bit, and then when I'm done, I can crop my image there, and I've got this nice 8.5 by 11, 300 pixels per inch document cropped the way that I want. So maybe I might save that file, save as, or save a copy as a JPEG and label it my 8.5 by 11 version, right? But maybe I might also want to do another one. So instead of 8.5 by 11 inches, maybe I want to do, somebody asked me 1920 pixels. So instead of inches, I don't want inches because 1920 inches would be a whole lot. 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels size, right? 1080 pixels, and I'm going to erase inches there. Okay, and so now I've got 1920 by 1080, and maybe I want to do something a little bit more interesting. Maybe I want to tighten in just on a portion of this image. So maybe it's like maybe I really want to focus on the passenger here, and I really want to tighten in right there in that area, maybe even all the way like this. And I could use my mouse wheel and kind of zoom in, and maybe I want to match him up right here in this like intersection in this rule of thirds. So oftentimes when you're cropping, it's sometimes a good idea maybe not to center things up. We always have this idea that when we take a photo or that we crop it, that we want to put our point of interest in the center. But really, some things that makes it more visually interesting might be to put the point of interest in one of these intersections in the rule of thirds. And if you see magazine photography and that sort of stuff, oftentimes they use that in design, not to just center things up all the time. So now I've got a 1920 by 1080 crop of this image that's a little bit more visually interesting. I've eliminated some things, but in the end I've focused on this. So this is just an image cropped in a couple different ways. I might save this or save a copy of it cropped this way as well to get the two versions.